Okay, so today I would like to do a video entitled It's Not About the Money. We're looking in Matthew 25, and this is where the Lord is giving a parable about the talents, and where the man is giving talents to his servants, and they are investing them and getting a return on their investment. Now, a talent at this time was a weight or a measure of gold and silver. It's not necessarily talking about a gift or an ability, although you could apply it to that. But this is talking about money, or is it? And that is my point today. So we're going to read over this. This is Matthew 25, verse 14, and we're going to read to the end of the parable. For the kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling into a far country, who called his own servants, and delivered unto them his goods. And unto one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, and to every man according to his several ability, and straightway took his journey. Then he that had received 5 talents went, and traded with the same, and made them other 5 talents. And likewise he that had received 2, he also gained other 2. But he that had received 1 went, and digged it into the earth, and hid his Lord's money. After a long time the Lord of those servants cometh, and reckoneth with them. And so he that had received 5 talents came, and brought other 5 talents, saying, Lord, thou deliveredst unto me 5 talents. Behold, I have gained beside them 5 talents more. His Lord said unto him, Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. He also that received 2 talents came and said, Lord, thou deliveredst unto me 2 talents. Behold, I have gained 2 other talents besides them. His Lord said unto him, Well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. Then he which had received 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew thee that thou art a hard man, reaping where thou hadst not sown, and gathering where thou hadst not strawed. And I was afraid, and I went and hid thy talent in the earth. Lo, there thou hast that is thine. And his Lord answered and said unto him, Thou wicked and slothful servant, thou knewest that I reap where I sowed not, and gather where I have not strawed. Thou oughtest therefore to have put my money to the exchangers, and then at my coming I should have received mine own with usury, that is, with interest. Take therefore the talent from him, and give it unto him which hath 10 talents. For unto every one that hath shall be given, and he shall have abundance. And from him that hath not shall be taken away, even that which he hath. And cast ye the unprofitable servant into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So, part of the point I want to make today is that this parable does mention money, and talents are money. But we have to keep in mind it is a parable. And a parable, by definition, is a story that is meant to represent truth or a reality in another way. So the story itself is not real and is not meant to represent what it's saying that it is. It's meant to represent something else. Many people will use this story as a way to tell people that they're supposed to use their money wisely. And I don't have a problem with that. Of course, using your money wisely is wise. We should all make investments wisely. We should all use our money to the best of our ability. But my contention with this is that although many pastors that I've heard, they will say, use your money wisely or save it, or as this guy says, you could at least put it in the bank and got interest on it, which may not be the wisest thing to do, but it's like the least you could possibly do. Don't dig a hole and bury it. It appears to be talking about money, but again, I want to make the contention that Jesus is using this parable to make a much deeper point. And also the point of parables for Jesus was to be preaching to people who had the eyes to see and the ears to hear, which means he wasn't talking about what he was talking about. And only those with the ears to hear would understand truly what he was talking about. So, I was just in my room the other day, and just suddenly I just thought, it's not about the money, because I was thinking about this, and so many people are obsessed with saving their money and getting their house paid off and getting their car loan paid off, and I get that, and they want to work and they don't want to have debt, and that is biblical. It's biblical to not have debt. So I get that. I understand it. But there are so many other verses that Jesus talks about not worrying about money and not worrying about what we have, and saying that even the lily of the valley is clothed greater than Solomon, and that he knows the number of hairs on your head, and why would you worry? And so there's these verses that seem to contrast being obsessed with riches, being obsessed with money, being obsessed with, loans and payments and using money wisely. And then there's the contrasting where God says, don't worry about what you have tomorrow. Don't even think about it. Tomorrow will take care of itself. And so why would you be obsessed with material things and using them wisely, when he's saying material things should not enter your mind? Tomorrow will take care of itself. God will clothe you. God will provide for you. And he's speaking literally. He's saying, don't have worries about the things of this life. The things you need to worry about are spiritual. So I'd like to make the contention that this parable is a spiritual parable. What I want to say is, I'm thinking, so if we're not thinking about money, how would we apply this? And so the thought came to me, it is about investing anything and everything that we have into a spiritual kingdom, into the spiritual world, and getting a return on it. So therefore, if I have the ability, which it doesn't take talent, although this money is it just happens to say talent, but it's talking about money. But anyway, it doesn't take talent to pray. We all have the ability to pray. And yet, God says, if we don't use that ability, he may take it away. So what if these investments of this money, or the gifts or talents, so to speak, what if the investments is that if we are not investing it in the kingdom, having nothing to do with this earthly money or spending it wisely, if we're not investing who we are and what we have in the kingdom, God says, watch out, I may take it away. And if you're praying for people, maybe he will teach you how to pray more effectively. What if you actually ask Jesus, Lord, teach me to pray? And while you're praying, he gave you ideas of people to pray for and things to pray about, and continue to expand on your ability to pray and praise him. And that as you use that gift of prayer, which is simply speaking to God, as you use that gift, he will make you a better prayer warrior so that you can pray more and more and more. And in that way, he is giving you more of what you already had, which was the simple ability to speak a word. And you chose to use that word to speak to the Creator, the God of the universe. And he then is able to bring back into your life, through your thoughts, a blessing of how to use that gift more. And possibly give you a greater desire to pray more. So not only do you use just maybe the first sentence, which would be, Lord, help me to pray, and that can be your first prayer, and you make a weak, feeble attempt at doing it. But through the exercising of even just the weak attempt, he then blesses you with a greater desire. and a greater ability to pray more. So in that way, that he who uses what he has shall be given more. What if it is money? What if we use this old world's money? What if we use the money against Satan? What if we use it for God's glory? And in that way, we're investing not in the things we have. We're not buying a new car with it. We're not buying a house or paying off loans or a debt. But what if we think of it as investing it in the kingdom, and we give it to homeless people, or we tie it to a track so that it makes the track, which is, some people may not know, a track is usually like a flyer that speaks about Jesus or the gospel. What if you just, with a rubber band, tied a $1 bill to a track and made it more interesting for someone to look at? These days people don't read. And if they do read, they don't read a lot. So it takes a little enticing to get them to read. And if you're not willing to speak up to someone and just say, hey, my name is Crystal, I'd really like to just let you know that Jesus loves you today, that he died for you, and he would do anything for you to be in his heaven, and he loves you so much. And as a sign of that gift, I'm going to give a gift to you, and all you have to do is take it. And so if you tied that $1 bill to a track and you gave it as a gift to someone, and they took it, and it's getting through the concept or the idea that Jesus is a gift, all they have to do is take it, just as this $1 bill, or 5 or 10 if you want. I mean, that's up to you. But you're making an investment not on the earth, but you're making an investment in heaven. And how much more likely do you think they would be to read at least some of the words on that track if it was wrapped in a dollar? And I don't mean a fake dollar. There are a lot of fake, people put fake track dollars out there. I've seen that too. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that either. That's interesting. But what if you actually paid someone to read the words of the Bible, the words of life, the words that Jesus wants to speak to them, and you made it enticing, and you used Satan's money, the filthy lucre of this world? What if you used Satan's money against him to get people interested in Jesus? And that's what I mean by investing in the kingdom. What if investing into the kingdom is what this is talking about, and getting a return on your kingdom investment, and that return may not come to you in this life. That return may only come to you in heaven. And in what way, in what shape, or what form, I can't tell you. And maybe you will see a return on your investment in the sense that, what if I gave out 1,000 tracts with $1,000 on it? Do you not think that maybe at least one of those souls would come to Christ from that? Do you think that God would not bless that and give you a return on your investment? I think that certainly you're more likely to get a return on your investment spiritually if you make that spiritual investment than you just take the money and you go buy a house with it, or you buy a gold coin with it, or you buy some new shoes with it. I mean, how can you get a spiritual return on your investment from that? You have to try. You have to invest your time, your talent, your money, your resources, everything that you have, which is what this parable is talking about. Invest what you have. It's not in earthly things. Jesus Christ was never, ever interested in us investing what we have in this flesh, in this life, in what we eat, what we drink, what we live in, what we buy. He was never interested in that. He's only interested in our spiritual life, in his kingdom being manifest on this earth through his children, through his people. And I think the only way to do that is invest in his kingdom, not be of the understanding that this parable is about money, but of the understanding that this parable is about the gifts that you have been given in this life, though they be many or though they be few, using them to further the kingdom and the gospel of Jesus Christ.